Seconds. Hello, everyone. My name is Sorin Tsigan, and today we will meet together Frank Swiers from Netherlands, who is a marathon player, a very good pigeon fancier. And for the start, please introduce yourself, a short introduction.
Okay. Hello, I'm Frank Swiers in Holland. I'm a marathon racer, one of the youngest marathon racers we have in the Netherlands. Our average age in the Netherlands is quite different than in yours in Romania. I've had the pleasure to visit Romania twice and saw a couple of young guys, a lot of young guys racing marathon distances at your country. In the Netherlands, I'm one of the youngest, like I told you. I've been racing marathons since 2013. The first year that I participated, I ended up second national champion and became national champion, a top 10 contender almost every year. Last year, I had the first European ace pigeon with Mad Max and ended up with 5 birds in the top 25 national ace pigeons. So I'm doing okay at the moment.
A very good debut for you from the first year, and since then you are in top every year. And when does the season start for you?
Well, the season starts in April. In April, we start with training races. So I enter my birds week after week because I want the birds to get well trained before the first marathon race. The first marathon race is normally about half June. So, and I want to give my birds at least 2,000 racing kilometers before that. So I enter mostly of the time the first or the second race, and after that every week.
And how about the number of pigeons you fly every year? Do you have a big loft, a small one as a number? What do you prefer?
My loft is 14 meters long. It's divided in 3 compartments. Actually 6 compartments, but every two for the racing birds, 2 for the youngsters, and 2 for my breeding pigeons. I race with approximately 60 pigeons, including yearlings. So 30 pairs. I breed 60 to 80 youngsters every year, and I have 20 breeding pairs.
So it's a medium.
Yeah, it's a medium. It's not quite small. It's not big. If I check with my biggest competitors like Jelle Jellema, Hugo Batenburg, Cor de Heide, who lives quite close, they have a lot more birds than I do.
Yes, you have a very difficult region with those competitors there.
Yeah, but right? I like it. I like it.
So you like the competitive?
Yeah, the more competition, the better.
Oh yes. It's a satisfaction when you win against very good fanciers, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You told me about 2 rooms for every category. You play natural or widowhood? What do you?
Well, the first races, the training races, I do on total widowhood. So the cockbirds are in their nesting boxes. And the hens are at that moment together with the youngsters. So they are separated at that moment. And I pair them up for racing. I want to race the first marathon race on natural system. And my favorite position is a youngster from about a week.
And what's the time available for you? I mean, how many weeks between the important ones from NPO?
Well, in the Netherlands, we have 2 kind of races. We have the NPO races, which are liberated at noon, at midday. And we have the ZLU races, which are the international races, which are liberated in the morning. I used to race mainly the NPO races, so the midday liberations. But since 2 years, I've focused myself more on the international races. So with the morning release, for me, it doesn't make any difference. The birds perform on both kind of races. So and also the preparation, the training, it's all been the same for the last decade. So which means about 3 weeks for the first national or international race, I treat them for Trigo. I use Belgaroni or BS from Belgica de Weert. And for me, it's very important to get the birds, the airways completely clean for every international or national race. So 2 days before basketing, I give them something for ornithosis. In my case, I use the WN Red, the Orni Special, or the Belga Thai mostly.
I understand. Can you tell for a fencer like me or many others the full program that you have between the races? Before the first marathon, what do you do in the arriving day? What do you do after that until the next race? Marathon race, of course. Then detoxify, I guess.
As soon as the birds arrive home from for a marathon race, I'll get them straight out of the loft. Actually, before they started drinking, and I give them 2 pills. One is the Vitaboli from Belgica de Weert, and the other is a protein capsule. I use the Belga Recharge, and I use the Total Recovery from Belga Vet. So I have 2. And that's the most important thing, to do that as soon as possible. So before they drink.
So you do
after
that.
Sorry.
So you do that every time.
Every time, yes. Every bird that arrives from an international race, I run into the loft and I get the bird and give them those pills, and then I'll just let them drink and give them the rest they deserve, of course. I also use some protein powder on the feet at that moment, and some oils, just to let them recover as fast as possible.
And you leave them inside, or you let them fly out in the first day, in the second day?
Well, I train my birds by car at the first day. So when the birds arrive on a Saturday, for example, the Sunday I train the birds by car, but not the birds that have arrived from the marathon race, of course, but all the other ones that are in preparation for the next race. So I drive them by car about 60 kilometers. I release them very early in the morning, mainly 6 o'clock in the morning, and let them fly home. And on Monday, the birds that have been raised will participate in training again. So they get a full day, actually almost 2 days rest, and then they have to continue training.
Yes. So and you try for every race, for every international one, to have your position for a young bird, like a week.
Well, the first race is a young bird on a week, always. Yeah. Because I pair them in groups. So I do my calculations, and I know when I have to pair the team for International Po, for example. A week later is International Argent. So I paired with birds for that race a week later. So I pair them in groups. So not the complete team together. So I know every bird will be raised at a youngster from about a week at their first task for the year, their first race. After that, I try to get them back at the nest, so let them feed up the youngster, and they will lay their eggs, of course. And the second race, I try to raise them on a youngster for 4 or 5 weeks. It is at that moment, so I leave the youngster with the birds, and they will have eggs for about 10 to 14 days. So that's the second race. I try to raise them twice at the period that I did the MPO races. I raised them 3 times, but the program for the international races, the morning release, is just more compact. So for me, it's not possible to raise them 3 times at a good position. So that's why I chose to just raise them 2 times.
You focus on 2 of them, yes, for full potential.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm sure along these years, you had some race or some arrival of a pigeon who is close to your heart. If you can tell us a story about this.
Well, I've more, of course. I've been blessed by winning 2 nationals in 1 year. In 2016,
Yes.
I won the first national St. Vincent, which was actually a complete surprise because I went to Dr. de Weert a couple of, I think, 1.5 weeks before the race, because there was something wrong with the birds, but I couldn't tell exactly what it was. So I went to Dr. de Weert, and he checked out the bird. He had coccidiosis, tricho, some ornithosis, so everything was wrong, completely wrong. So I treated the bird with everything I've got from the Weert, and I didn't have any expectations, of course, for that race, because they were given that many antibiotics, so it couldn't go right. But for some reason, my bird Le Bernard is called. He won the first national St. Vincent, which was at that moment my first national victory. And I didn't expect them at all, and it was insane to have done that. But the most precious thing is actually 3 weeks later, because I won the first national, and my focus after that was about Lost. So I was in a condition when I was starting partying for many days and many weeks after the national victory, and not paying as much attention to the birds as I normally do. So I entered for the national Dachs race without, of course, any expectation, because my season was already okay. I won the first national St. Vincent, which is the biggest MPO race you can win. So I entered that race, and I went out of bed. I set my alarm because I expected some birds to arrive very early in the morning. I set my alarm clock about 20 minutes to 5 in the morning, and I checked out all the internet sites for arrivals, but there weren't arrivals at that moment. So I've snoozed my alarm and just get a couple of minutes more sleep. My wife was pregnant at that moment, so okay, it was almost 5 o'clock. So I pulled myself out of bed, and just before I was outside, I saw I got an alarm on my phone that the bird was arrived, and was Amber, who actually won the first national Dachs that moment. So for me, that was almost impossible. It was never been done, winning 2 nationals in a year, except in 3 weeks. I won 2 nationals in 3 weeks, which is, actually it's impossible, but it happened.
It wasn't something you can plan.
No, it wasn't indeed.
It was the value of the birds. And about
Yes.
that, what kind of what families of birds? What do you have?
Well, my strain is mainly built on the birds of Mark van den Berg. Mark van den Berg is a fancier who's, I think, 2 years older than I am. He also has a young family, a busy job. So that's why I focused on his birds, because he performed wonderfully. He lives in the northern part of the country. He only had a few birds, so not as many. And his family was built on the Brief and Kiekenbelt birds, and for some reason they crossed magnificently. And I got the main birds from them. I think 70% of my current loft is still based on that kind of bird. I also bought a hen on Pipa from Arjan Beens. Her name was Golden Future, and she was a magnificent breeder. I think in 90% of my current racing birds, she will be in the pedigree. She was a game changer for me, so she set me right on the top. And in the years after, of course, I've tried some other birds. I did some joint breeding with Jelle Jellema, with Zwart Goud, and with the father of Romee, and so I have some Jellema pigeons, but only the old lines, not the new lines. They did some exchanging of birds with Cor de Heide. So I have one or two from him, and from that I'm forging my own team, my own line. But the main line is still the Mark van den Berg pigeon.
Yeah, so in general, there are birds for 900 to 1100 kilometers.
Yeah, no problem. They can do 900 to 1100 kilometers in very fast conditions, but also in very heavy conditions. For example, my Mad Max, past 2 years, Mad Max has been the first European ace for 2020. So it's a very good bird. It's actually arrived 2 times in the middle of the night last season. So a 1:15 in the night and 5 minutes to half past one. To half past two. Yeah, in the night. Those speeds were quite high, of course. But the year before that, we had an international race from Agen. He was entered as a yearling. He won the 17th national, but there was a very hard race with very high temperatures, about 40 degrees, and a headwind. So the birds that I have can do both, and that's why I'm so happy with my strain of birds.
Yes, very nice. And if you can give an advice for Romanian fanciers, like how should they prepare their pigeon for marathons, for same distances, let's say? How do you?
Oh, I think it's very important to feed the birds full feed. So every time and every moment of the day, they will have the opportunity to feed themselves. Because when you do that, they will never overeat themselves. And also it gives you the opportunity to train them a lot. Like I told you, my birds train about 1.5 hours in the evening and 75 minutes in the morning, which is of course a lot, especially for birds raised on natural system. But they only do that because they have a lot of feed. Because they have a lot of feed, they will never get fat. They will never overeat themselves. But they will always have enough. I think that's very important. I also think it's very important to make sure the birds are free of any problems with their airways or eyes or nose. So that's the reason why I give every marathon race 2 days something for ornithosis. I told you the products earlier in this interview. So WN Red, Orni Special, Belgatide, those are the products that I use. I always use some kind of protein and Vitaboli for recovery of the birds, which is very important, I think. And of course, the quality of birds. I really believe in the quality of birds. I've tried many birds over here on the same system, but most of them just can't handle it.
So the selection will
selection, of course, it's selection. You have to choose a system for yourself with the birds, what the birds are compatible of, and just keep on doing that. That's the most important thing, and just making minor adjustments every year just to get a little bit further ahead.
And because you have only marathon pigeons, how do you approach the young birds season?
Well, I actually darken my young birds so they will not molt as fast. And my young birds are raised every week in the young bird races in Netherlands. In the Netherlands, we have separate young birds races separately, up to 400 kilometers, and that's what I do. So I give them about 10 races as a youngster, up to 400 kilometers. So they have a lot of experience, and that makes them ready to do 2 national races as a yearling.
And about conditioning them, you also keep it light? You do some...
actually the same as the old birds.
So the same, okay.
Yes.
Okay. If you want to add something, you said you visited Romania and you have a very good impression. I think...
Yeah, I visited Romania twice. It was at the time when I was working for Dr. Henk de Weert. I visited Romania in 2018 and 2017, I think. 2018, 2009, I don't know exactly. I was also attending at the National Gala, which was great actually to attend. I like racing. I like the pigeon sports in Romania a lot because the average age, of course, of the fanciers, they're much more related to my own age than we have over here in the Netherlands. And also they're quite fanatic type of fanciers. They all want to win, and they all want to race. Most of them all want to race marathons. So that's just my cup of tea, as they tell. So my kind of people. So that's it was very nice to be there. Also the gala evening, it's just great. We don't have those in the Netherlands anymore. You see, the biggest difference between Romania and the Netherlands is the sport. The sport and the number of fanciers in the Netherlands is decreasing by every year. And I have the feeling
we are growing
Romania,
everywhere.
but I have the feeling that in Romania it's increasing actually.
Yes, right.
So that's of course the biggest difference, and that's why I like it so much in Romania.
Okay, thank you very much for this dialogue. I'm sure many of us will have a lot of things to learn from you, and we want to see you again in Romania, maybe when this
when COVID is over, I will be coming to Romania again. And if one of your viewers of this interview has any questions, they can contact me by email or by Facebook. No problem.
Okay, thank you very much, and for your time. Bye, Frank.
No problem.
Bye.
Thank you for inviting me.
Bye.
And see you next time. Bye.